Hello and welcome to the next episode of Let's Look At, but actually going forward the Let's Look Ats are going to be a little different. Instead of me just skimming through the book, I'm actually going to sit down and read through it as if I was reading it by myself. So the videos are going to be different. They will be longer, however. Instead of 15 minutes, they'll be 30, but that's enough of an explanation. This is 3rd edition Dungeons & Dragons Player's Handbook. It is in remarkably good condition for... part of me thinks it's a reprint from like Drive-Thru RPG that someone just turned into the game store I go to. But I bought it and I am going to read it. So, no name unfortunately. But we've got Dungeons & Dragons Player's Handbook D&D Design Team. Monty Cook, Jonathan Tweet, and Skip Williams. Table of contents is Chapter 1 Abilities, Chapter 2 Races, Chapter 3 Classes, Chapter 4 Skills, Chapter 5 Feats, Chapter 6 Description, Chapter 7 Equipment, Chapter 8 Combat, Chapter 9 Adventuring, Chapter 10 Magic, Chapter 11 Spells, and then the appendix and glossary. So, here's another thing is I don't know anything about 3rd edition. Like, I know small things about, basic, advanced, first, all that, but I know nothing about 3rd, so... This is going to be completely new to me, and it's long, as well as anybody else who doesn't know. But character creation basics. Follow these steps to create a beginning first-level character. You'll need a photocopy of the character sheet, a pencil, some scratch paper, and 4 6-sided die. Check with your dungeon master. Your dungeon master DM may have house rules or campaign standards that vary from the standard rules. You might also want to know that what character types the other players are playing so that you can create a character that fits in well with the group. You're same as always. Ability scores. Roll your character's 6 ability scores. Determine each one by rolling 4 6-sided dice, ignoring the lowest die, and totaling the other 3. Record your 6 results on scratch paper. If you roll really poorly, you can roll again. Your scores are considered too low if your total modifiers before changes according to race are 0 or less, or if your highest score is 13 or lower. So yeah, pretty much the same thing. Sorry, my throat's a little dry this morning. Choose class and race. You want to choose your character's class and race at the same time because some races are better suited to some classes. The description of each class in Chapter 3. The description of each class in Chapter 3. Classes includes an entry labeled races. You can look there to see what class and race combinations are most common. Write the character's class and race on the character sheet. Take some time to think about what sort of person your character is going to be. You don't have to develop his or her... Hold on, I'm going to take a drink. Much better. You don't have to develop his or her whole personality at this point, but now's a good time to start thinking about it. The classes are Barbarian, Bard, Cleric, Druid, Fighter, Monk, Paladin, Ranger, Rogue, Sorcerer, and Wizard. The races are Human, Dwarf, Elf, Gnome, Half-Elf, Half-Orc, and Halfling. No Tiefling, no Goliath, no Aasimar, no Dragonborn either. I think Dragonborn is 4th edition. Assign and adjust ability scores. Now that you know your character's class and race, assign the scores you rolled in Step 1 to your character's 6 abilities: Strength, Dexterity, Constitution, Intelligence, Wisdom, and Charisma. Adjust these ability scores up and down according to his or her race, as indicated on Table 2-1. Racial ability adjustments. Put high scores in abilities that work for your character's class. Each class description includes an entry called Abilities that points out important abilities for that class. You'll also want to assign abilities according to your concept of what sort of person the character is and his or her strengths and weaknesses. For each ability, record the character's modifier. See Table 1-1. Ability modifiers and bonus spells. This number essentially tells you how far above or below average your character is in regard to that ability. What's next? Oh my goodness, there's so much. Maybe this was a mistake. Or not, I don't know. Review the starting package. Look at the class's starting package at the end of each class description in Chapter 3, Classes. It offers a fast way to complete the next several steps of character design. If you like the feat, skills, and equipment listed there for a character or of the class you've chosen, then you can record this information on your character sheet. You can also use it as a guideline for making your own decisions from scratch. Oh, excuse me. Record racial and class features. Your character's race and class grant him or her certain features. Most features are automatic, but some of them involve making choices. Some decisions require thinking ahead about one of the upcoming character steps. For instance, to know whether you want to give a fighter exotic weapon proficiency as a bonus feat, you need to know something about exotic weapons, described in Chapter 7 Equipment. Look ahead when you need to, and don't be afraid to backtrack and do something over. Select skills. Depending on your character's class and intelligence modifier, you get a certain number of skill points to spend on skills as a first level character. Skills are measured in ranks, not tanks, ranks. Each rank adds +1 to level each rank adds +1 to checks rolls you make to successfully use that skill. At first level, your character can buy up to 4 ranks in a class skill, a skill from your class's list of class skills, or up to 2 ranks in a cross-class skill, a skill from some other class's list of class skills. Your class skills are listed in the description of your class in Chapter 3, Classes, and all skills are listed on the table 4.2, Skills, and described in Chapter 4, Skills. Buying skills goes faster if you spend 4 skill points, your maximum, on every skill you buy, following the example of the skills in each class's starting package. Each skill has a key ability associated with it. When you list the skills in your character sheet, fill in the space on the ability modifier column with the appropriate ability modifier, which you recorded back in Step 3. Select a feat. Each first level character starts with a feat. See Table 5.1. Feats for a list of available feats. Some feats refer to equipment or skills, so you may need to look ahead at other chapters to decide whether you want one of those feats for your character. Review description. Look over Chapter 6 Description. It helps you detail your character. You can decide these details now or wait until later, but they're at least worth reviewing at this stage. Select equipment. If you don't use the equipment in the starting package for your character's class, you can randomly determine the value of his or her starting equipment, see Table 7.1, Random Starting Gold, and then select it piece by piece. Even if you pick your equipment, you still might want to use equipment listed for the starting package as a guide. Record combat and skill numbers. Based on your race, class, ability modifiers, feat, and equipment, figure out your saving throws, armor class, hit points, initiative modifier, melee attack bonus, ranged attack bonus, weapon statistics, and total skill bonuses. Fill in the character sheet with base attack and saving throw bonuses from your character's class table. Create a total bonus or maybe a penalty for each saving throw for melee and range attacks, for attack and damage for each weapon, for each skill, and for initiative. Determine the character's armor class, AC. This represents how difficult the character is to hurt in combat, based on his or her armor, shield size, and dexterity modifier. Each character has hit points, HP, representing how difficult he or she is to kill. At first level, wizards and sorcerers get 4 HP, rogue and bard get 6, clerics, druids, and monks get 8, fighters, paladins, and rangers get 10, barbarians get 12. To this number, add your character's constitution modifier. Details galore. Now invent or choose a name for your character. Determine his or her sex, choose an alignment, decide how old he or she is and what he or she looks like, and so on. As Chapter 6 description shows, there's no end to how thoroughly you can detail your character's looks, personality, and personal history. There's no need to develop the character completely. With your DM's permission, you can always add or even change details as you play and as you get better feel for your character. So right off the bat, it's kind of it's similar to 5th edition. The skills is a little weird. That's something I have no idea about, so I'm stretching. So yeah, the character sheets look completely different. Introduction. Welcome to the game that has defined the fantastic I can't read. I just woke up. I'm sorry. Welcome to the game that has defined the fantastic imagination for over a quarter of a century. When you play the Dungeons & Dragons game, you create a unique fictional character that lives in your imagination and the imagination of your friends. One person in the game, the Dungeon Master, controls the monsters and people that live in the fantasy world. You and your friends face the dangers and explore the mysteries that your Dungeon Master sets before you. Each character's imaginary life is different. Your character might explore ancient ruins guarded by devious traps, put loathsome monsters to the sword, Loot the tomb of a long-forgotten wizard. Cast mighty spells to burn and blast your foes. Solve diabolical mysteries. Find magic weapons, rings, and other items. Make peace between warring tribes. Get brought back from the dead. Face undead creatures that can drain life away with a touch. Sneak into a castle to spy on the enemy. Travel to other planes of existence. Wrestle a carnivorous ape. Okay, that's weird. That's a weird one. Forge a magic wand. Get turned to stone. Get turned into a toad. Turn someone else into a toad. Become king or queen. Deliver unique and powerful artifacts of amazing magical power. Discover, not deliver. What you need to play. To start playing the Dungeons and Dragons game, all you need are the following: the player's handbook, which tells you how to create and play your character, a copy of the character sheet, a pencil and scratch paper. Graph paper is nice to have too. 1 or 2 4-sided die, D4, or 4 or more 6-sided die, D6, an 8-sided die, 2 10-sided die, a 12-sided die, and a 20-sided die. A miniature figure, or at least something to represent your character in the game, even if it's just a mark on paper. Additionally, the Dungeon Master needs the Dungeon Master's Guide, which is filled with advice, ideas, guidelines, and the Monster Manual, which describes hundreds of monsters with which to challenge the players. The Player's Handbook. This book gives you everything you need to create and play your character. It features the following chapters. Chapter 1. A single streamlined system for determining how each ability affects combat, skills, and magic, plus rules for increasing abilities over time. Races. 7 distinct character races, each with unique features. Classes. 11 character classes, each of which is available to each race. Each class has features to make it work well at both low levels and high levels. Also, a versatile system for multi-classing allows players to combine the skills and features of any classes. Skills. Dozens of skills that govern everything from a rogue stealth to a wizard's arcane knowledge, including rules for gaining skills outside a character's class, and for attempting to use skills in which a character isn't trained. Feats. Characters. This book is binded weird. It's like cutting off. Characters gain these special talents such as cleave and lightning reflexes as they rise in level, allowing players to tailor their character's capabilities. Description. Details about your character's moral alignment, religion, personality, physical description, and including an array of gods from Hieronymus, god of valor, to the demonic erythral, god of slaughter. Equipment. Weapons and armors from the common to the exotic, including the reliable longsword, double-bladed weapons, a repeating crossbow, and spiked armor. Plus all the gear and that adventurers need to stay alive. Oh my goodness. You can probably see it, like it's cut off at the end. Combat. Combat hits, combat actions, such as charge or full defense, multiple attacks for high-level characters of all classes, and rules for all unpredictable maneuvers and challenges that adventurers face on the field of battle. Adventuring. I lost my place. Getting around the fantasy world and gaining power over time. Magic. Learning, preparing, and casting spells, plus rules for creating and discerning illusions, summoning monsters, and bringing back the dead. Spells. Spells. For spells from level 0 to level 9 for clerics, druids, sorcerers, and wizards, plus spells for bards, paladins, and rangers. Dice. Oop, don't click on me. The rules abbreviate dice rolls with phrases such as 3d4 plus 3, which means 3 4-sided die plus 3. The version number tells you how many dice to roll, which are all added together. The number after the D tells you what type of dice to use, and any number after that indicate the number added to or subtracted from the result. Some examples include 1d8, 1 8-sided die, 1d8 plus 2, 1 8-sided die plus 2, and then 2d4, 2 4-sided dice plus 2, and then the D percentage, or percentile die, is a special case. When you roll the D percentage, you generate a number between 1 and 100 by rolling 2 different colored 10-sided die. One color designated before you roll is the tens digit, and the other is the ones digit. A roll of 7 and 1, for example, gives you a result of 71. A 0 and a 6 equals 6. A double zero, two zeros, however, represents 100. Some pairs of percentile dice are both the same color. In this case, the tens digit is marked on the tens die in tens, 0, 10, 20, etc., while the ones die is numbers 1 through 0, which with these dice, a roll of 70 and 1 would give you a result of 71, and a result of 0 and 0 would be 100. kind of repeating itself there. This game is fantasy. The action of Dungeons & Dragons game takes place in the imaginations of the players. Like actors in a movie, players sometimes speak as if they are their character, or as if their fellow players were their characters. These rules even adopt that casual approach, using you to refer to and to mean your character. In reality, however, you are no more your character than you are in the king when you played chess. Likewise, the world implied by these rules is an imaginary one. I will be right back. Sorry about that. So let's continue. Just about every dice roll you make is going to be modified based on your character's abilities. A tough character has a better chance of surviving a wyvern's poison sting. A perceptive character is more likely to notice bugbears sneaking up from behind. A stupid character is less likely to find a secret door that leads to the hidden treasure chamber. Your ability scores tell you and what your modifiers are for rolls such as these. Your character has 6 abilities: Strength, Dexterity, Constitution, Intelligence, Wisdom, and Charisma. Each of your character's above average abilities gives you a benefit on certain die rolls, and each below average ability gives you a disadvantage on other die rolls. You roll your scores randomly, assign them to your abilities you like, raise and lower them according to your character's race, and then raise them as your character advances in experience. Your ability scores. There's a lot of repeating, but this is the beginning of the book. To create an ability score for your character, roll 4 6-sided die. Disregard the lowest die and total the 3 highest dice. The roll gives you a number between 3, horrible, and 18, tremendous. The average ability score for the typical commoner is 10 or 11, but your character is not typical. The most common ability scores for players, PCs, are 12 and 13. That's right. This average player or character is above average. Make this roll 6 times, recording the result each time on a piece of paper. Once you have all 6 scores, assign each score to one of your 6 abilities. At this step, you need to know what kind of person your character is going to be, including his race and class, in order to know where best to place your character's ability scores. Remember that choosing a race other than human or half-elf causes some of these ability scores to change. Ability modifiers. Each ability after changes made because of race will have a modifier ranging from -5 to +5. Ability modifiers and bonus spells shows the modifier for each ability based on its score. It also shows bonus spells, which you'll need to know about if your character is a spellcaster. The modifier is the number you add to or subtract from the die roll when your character tries to do something related to that ability. For instance, you add or subtract your strength modifier to your roll when you try to hit someone with a sword. You also use the modifier with some numbers that aren't die rolls, such as when you apply your dexterity modifier to your armor class, AC. A positive modifier is called a bonus, and a negative modifier is called a penalty. Abilities and spellcasters. The ability that spells relate to depends on what type of spellcaster you are. Intelligence for wizard, wisdom for cleric, druids, paladins, and rangers, or charisma for sorcerers and bards. In addition to having a high ability score, a spellcaster must be of sufficient level in order to get a bonus spell of a given level. For instance, wizards make melee. M-I-A-L-E-E. That's got to be a misprint. The wizard. Oh no, that's a name. Mia Lee has a 15. It's not me. I thought it was melee. It's a name. Mia Lee has 15 intelligence, so she's smart enough to get 1 bonus first level spell and 1 bonus second level spell. She will not actually get the second level bonus spell until she is 3rd level. The minimum level a wizard must be to cast second level spells. If your character's ability score is a 9 or lower, you can't cast spells tied to that ability. For example, if Mia Lee's intelligence dropped to 9 because of poison that reduces intellect, she would not be able to cast even her simplest spells until cured. Rerolling. If your scores are too low, you may scrap them and roll all 6 scores over. Your scores are considered too low if your total modifiers before changes according to race are 0 or less, or if your highest score is a 13 or lower. Yeah. It feels like I'm just repeating what was in the beginning. By a lot. The abilities. Now this is different. Each ability primarily describes your character and affects some of your character's actions. The description of each ability includes a list of races and creatures along with their average scores in that ability. Not every creature has a score in every ability, as you'll see when you look at the list that follows. These scores are for an average. Young adult members of that race or species, such as a dwarven tax collector, a halfling merchant, or an unexceptional gnoll. An adventurer, say a dwarven fighter or a gnoll ranger, probably has better scores, at least in the abilities that matter most in them. And player characters are above average overall. Strength. Strength measures your character's muscle and physical power. This ability is especially important for fighters, barbarians, paladins, rangers, and monks because it helps them prevail in combat. You apply your character's strength modifier to melee attack rolls, damage rolls, climb, jump, and swim checks, and strength checks, like for breaking down doors and the like. And then you have your average strength scores. Shadow, toad, rat, weasel, small monster, centipede, kobold, halfling or goblin, human, half-orc, gnoll, small earth elemental, centaur, fire giant, nightshade, nightcrawler, and great gold worm. And then it gives you averages all the way up to a plus 18 modifier for great gold worm. Dexterity. Dexterity means hand-eye coordination, agility, reflexes, and balance. This ability is the most important ability for rogues, but is also high on the list for characters who typically wear light or medium armor, barbarians and rangers, or none at all, monks, wizards, and sorcerers. And for anyone who wants to be a skilled archer. You apply your character's dexterity modifier to ranged attack rolls, armor class provided the character can react to the attack, reflex saving throws, balance, escape artist, hide, move silently, open lock, pickpocket, ride, tumble, and use rope checks. These are the skills that have dexterity as their key ability. And then average dexterity scores for a shrieker, gelatinous cube, colossal animated object, purple worm, ogre, human, elf or halfling, displacer beast, blink dog, astral deva, elder air elemental. Sorry, I'm taking another drink. Much better. Constitution, not better at all. Constitution represents your character's health and stamina. Constitution increases the character's hit points, so it's important for everyone. You apply your Constitution modifier to each hit die, fortitude saving throws, and concentration checks. Checks, I swear. Checks. Concentration checks. If a character's Constitution changes enough to alter his or her Constitution modifier, his or her hit points also increase or decrease accordingly. And then we have Ghost, Grey Elf, Wind Elf, Human, Dwarf or Gnome, Carrion Crawler, Griffin, Horse, and then the Tarrasque. Why does a Great Old Worm have a higher strength than this Tarrasque has in Constitution? Okay. Intelligence. What time? We're good. Intelligence determines how well your character learns and reasons. Intelligence is important for wizards because it affects how many spells they can cast, how hard their spells are to resist, and how powerful their spells can be. It's also important for any character who wants to have a strong assortment of skills. You apply your character's intelligence modifier to the number of languages your character knows at the start of the game, the number of skill points gained each level, and then alchemy, appraise, craft, decipher script, disable the device, forgery, knowledge, read lips, scry, search, and spellcraft checks. Sorry, I got like a frog in my throat. Wizards gain bonus spells based on their intelligence scores. The minimum intelligence needed to cast a wizard spell is 10 plus the spell's level. And then we have a list of average intelligence scores again. Zombie, Carrion Crawler, Tiger, Hydra, Otu, Troll, Half-Orc, Human, Dragon Turtle, Invisible Stalker, Beholder, Mind Flayer, Kraken, Great Gold Worm again. I think we'll finish these last two pages and then we'll call it. Wisdom. Wisdom describes a character's willpower, common sense, perception, and intuition. While intelligence represents one's ability to analyze information, wisdom is more related to being in tune being in tune. I lost my place. While intelligence represents one's ability to analyze information, wisdom is more related to being in tune with and aware of one's surroundings. An absent-minded professor has low wisdom and high intelligence. A simpleton, low intelligence, might still have great insight, high wisdom. Wisdom is the most important ability for clerics and druids, and is also important for paladins and rangers. If you want your character to have keen senses, put a high score in wisdom. You apply your character's wisdom modifier to will saving throws, and then heal, innuendo, intuit detection, listen, profession, sense motive, spot, and wilderness lore checks. Clerics, druids, paladins, and rangers get bonus spells based on their wisdom scores. Okay, and then average wisdom scores. Gelatinous Cube, Shrieker, Orc, Human, Owlbear, Wraith, Devourer, Quaddle, Unicorn, and then Great Gold Worm. Charisma. Charisma measures a character's force of personality, persuasiveness, personal magnetism, ability to lead, and physical attractiveness. It represents actual personal strength, not merely how one is perceived by others in the social setting. Charisma is most important for paladins, sorcerers, and bards. It is also important for clerics since it affects their ability to turn undead. Really? That's weird. You apply a charisma modifier to animal empathy, bluff, diplomacy, disguise, gather information, handle animal, intimidate, perform, and use magic device checks. And then checks that represent an attempt to influence others. Turning checks for clerics and paladins attempt to turn zombies, vampires, and other undead. Sorcerer and bards get bonus spells based on their charisma scores. The minimum charisma needed to cast a sorcerer or bard spell is 10 plus the spell's level. And then we got average again for zombie spider, Dretch Tanari, Triceratops, that's weird, dwarf or half orc, human or wolverine, what? Dragoni, storm giant, ogre mage, large Bargus, and can you guess? Great Goldworm. Example of generating and assigning ability scores. Monty wants to create a new character. He rolls 4 6-sided dice, 4d6, and gets 5, 4, 4, and 1. Ignoring the lowest dice, he records the results on scratch paper, 13. He does this 5 more times and gets these 6 scores, 13, 10, 15, 12, 8, and 14. Monty decides to play a strong, tough, dwarven fighter. Now he assigns his rolls to abilities. Strength gets the highest score, 15. His character has a +2 strength bonus that will serve him well in combat. Constitution gets the next highest score at 14. The dwarf's +2 Constitution racial ability adjustment improves his Constitution score to 16 for a +3 bonus, which gives him more hit points and better fortitude saving throws. Monty puts his lowest score, 8, into Charisma. The dwarf's -2 Charisma racial ability adjustment reduces Charisma score to 6 for a -2 penalty. Monty has 2 bonus range scores left. 13 and 12. Plus an average score 10. Dexterity gets 13, +1. That helps with attacking with ranged weapons and with reflex saving throws. Monty's also thinking ahead. A dexterity score of 13 qualifies his character for the dodge feat. Wisdom gets the 12, +1 bonus. That helps with perception skills such as spot and listen, and as well as with will saving throws. Intelligence gets the 10, no bonus or penalty. Average intelligence isn't bad for a fighter. Monty records his character's race, class, ability scores, and ability modifiers on his character sheet. We'll finish this page. Changing ability scores. Over time, the ability scores your character starts with can change. Ability scores can increase with no limit. Really, no limit. Add 1 point to any score at 4th level, and every 4 levels your character attains thereafter, at 8th, 12th, 16th, and 20th. Many spells and magical effects temporarily increase or decrease ability scores. The rate of enfeeblement spell reduces a creature's strength, and the strength spell increases it. Sometimes the spell simply hampers a character, effectively reducing his or her ability score. A character trapped by an entangle spell, for example, acts as if the dexterity were 4 points lower than it really is. Than it really is. Several magic items improve the user's ability scores as long as this binding is pissing me off. As long as the character is using them. Gloves of Dexterity, for example, improve the wearer's dexterity score. Note that a magic item of this type can't change an ability score by more than +6. Some rare magic items can boost an ability score permanently, as can a wish spell. Such a bonus is called an inherent bonus, and ability scores can't have an inherent bonus of more than +5. Poisons and diseases and other effects can harm an ability, temporary ability damage. Ability points lost to damage return to their own at a rate of 1 point per day for each damaged ability. Wraiths and certain other undead creatures drain ability, resulting in a permanent ability drain. Points lost this way don't return on their own, but they can be brought back with spells such as Restoration. As a character ages, some ability scores go up and others go down. Okay. When an ability score changes, all attributes associated with the score change accordingly. For example, when Melee becomes a 4th level wizard, she decides to increase her intelligence to 16. That gives her a 3rd level bonus spell, which she'll pick up at 5th level when she's able to cast 3rd level spells, and increases the number of skill points she gets per level, 4 to 5. As a new 4th level character, she can get the skill points after raising her intelligence, so she'll get 5 points for achieving 4th level in the wizard class. She does not she does not retroactively get additional points for her previous levels. That is, skill points she would have gained if she had an intelligence score of 16 starting at 1st level. And then the last little bit. Intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. You can use your intelligence, wisdom, and charisma scores to guide you in role-playing your character. Here are some guidelines, just guidelines, about what these character scores can mean. A smart character is curious, knowledgeable, and prone to using big words. A character with a high intelligence but low wisdom may be smart but absent-minded, or knowledgeable but lacking in common sense. A character with a high intelligence but a low charisma score may be a know-it-all or a reclusive scholar. The smart character lacking in both wisdom and charisma is usually putting her foot in her mouth. A character with low intelligence mispronounces and misuses words, has trouble following directions, or fails to get the joke. A character with high wisdom score may be sensible, serene, in tune, alert, or centered. A character with a high wisdom but a low intelligence may be aware but simple. A character with a high wisdom but a low charisma knows enough to speak carefully and may become an advisor or power behind the throne rather than a leader. A character with low wisdom score may be rash, imprudent, irresponsible, or out of it. A character with a high charisma score may be attractive and striking, personal, and confident. A character with a high charisma but a low intelligence can usually pass herself off as knowledgeable until she meets a true expert. A charismatic character with a low wisdom may be popular, but she doesn't know who her real friends are. A character with low charisma may be reserved, gruff, rude, faulty, or simply nondescript. And that's where we'll end it for today, and we'll move on to races for Monday. So that's what the new videos are going to be like, where I'm actually reading. Because I realize when I just skim over them, because I want to go back and play these, if I'm just skimming over them and reading certain parts, I have to go back and read them anyway. So I thought, why not just read the whole thing out and just extend the videos a bit? It's going to take longer, but it accomplishes the task of making an interesting video, and also makes it so I don't have to reread the book multiple times, which I still probably will have to do. But if you enjoyed this, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. I don't respond to comments, but I do read them, so feel free to comment. I read every one I can. But thanks for watching.